Hello everyone. There is a topic that is in news. National Investment Policy for Urea 2026. Let's understand what it is and what are the key features of this policy. To begin with, let's first see what is National Investment Policy. This National Investment Policy was launched by Department of Fertilizers in the year 2012. The main objective of launching this national investment policy in the year 2012 is first one, to expand greenfield projects or to open greenfield projects, brownfield projects, and to expand the existing fertilizer plants, and also for the revival of closed fertilizer plants. These are the main objective of launching this national investment policy. What is greenfield projects? Which are constructed for the first time. Those are called as greenfield projects. What are brownfield projects? Those were already existing. Either they were damaged, making repairs to that, or expanding it is considered as brownfield projects. Understood? These are the objectives of National Investment Policy from the year 2012, the year which it was launched, till the year 2019. This National Investment Policy attracted 6 new plants construction. We were talking these plants of urea. 6 new plants were constructed in this year. In the year 2019, the investment window was closed. From the year 2019 till the year 2026, there were proposals for investments. Even after closing this investment window, there were even more proposals that were coming to government for establishing new fertilizer plants. Therefore, government introduced National Investment Policy for Urea in the year 2026. We had seen what is National Investment Policy, but what is urea? Let's understand what is urea. Why a separate policy was made for this? Let's understand. First of all, demand. If we see the demand of it, around 46 to 48% of Indian population are still dependent on agriculture and allied activities. These figures are from the perspective of Indian population. But if you divide urban and rural, let's talk about rural population. Nearly 70% of population in rural areas to the present day in India are still dependent on agriculture as a primary source of income. If this much amount of population are dependent on agriculture, the land must be fertile to produce numerous crops. There is fertile land in India, but all the land which was present in India was not fertile. So for that reason, fertilizers need to be added. Right? In these fertilizers, nitrogenous fertilizer is most favorable. That fertilizer which contains nitrogen more is most favorable by the farmers. And that fertilizer is urea, which contains 46% of nitrogen. For this reason, urea is widely used in agricultural sector. But there is demand. Let's understand supply first. If we see the supply figures, India utilizes 340 lakh metric tons of urea every year. Exclusively for agriculture I am talking about. But if you see other activities such as in textiles, such as in dyes, or for automobile, even these industries uses urea. If we account the share of these industries even, it accounts for 380 to 400 lakh metric tons of urea which is utilized every year. If this much amount of urea, let's talk about agriculture perspective first. If 340 lakh metric tons of urea is demanded, how much lakh metric tons or how many lakh metric tons does India produces? It is producing nearly 270 lakh metric tons only. To be precise, 269.46 is the figure which India is producing. The rest out of let's take it as 270, nearly 70 lakh metric tons every year exclusively for agriculture is imported. If we see the imports, India import urea from Oman, United Arab Emirates, Saudi Arabia and Russia. These are the countries which India imports urea from. We had seen what is urea. Let's understand what are the key features of National Investment Policy. The first key feature is promotion of new gas-based urea plants. Earlier, the demand for urea plants or fertilizer plants is so high in India. The reason being, we are utilizing or we are importing nearly 100 lakh tons of urea every year from other countries. If the demand is high, the investors should be ready, right? This is the common phenomenon. But the investors are not ready to set up the fertilizer plants in India. The reason being, high capital expenditure. To set up a urea plant in India, it requires huge amount of capital. And second thing, the profits or returns. This is the major problem why Indians were scared to invest in construction of urea-based fertilizer plants. If you see, the demand is high, but investors are fearing about profits. What could have been the reason? The major reason is, for example, if one bag of urea that was produced in India is costing 100 rupees, for example, same quantity bag which was imported from Oman or other countries which India is importing, it costs 90 rupees only or less than that. Then what would happen? It is competitive pricing. These products which are coming from international markets, these are making monopoly there. That urea which is coming from foreign companies, reason being the urea which was produced by Indian plants is not being sold at a faster pace, even though the demand is high. For that reason, investors are scared. To protect investors from all of these hurdles, what National Investment Policy of Urea did? It said, we are now going to promote only gas-based urea plants. What are gas-based urea plants? Earlier, it was by coal or other sources the urea is produced. But if it is producing in such a way, the investment cost or the raw material cost is getting increased. Right? If raw material cost is increasing, the production cost increases. On the same hand, if non-natural gases are utilized in production of urea, what would happen? They would release large amount of emissions into the atmosphere. All the countries are now aiming for net zero emissions. Even India is having its goal to achieve net zero by year 2070. Right now, government is pushing for only gas-based urea plants. What is natural gas here? It is methane. The chemical formula of methane, comment on your answers. It is CH4. Right? This CH4 is not only utilized as a fuel to produce urea in industrial plants. Also, it is used as raw material for producing urea. Earlier, coal was used. For what reason it was used? It was used only for fuel purpose. This coal is used as only fuel. The raw materials are different. But the benefit of using natural gas, such as methane, is used as raw material and fuel both for producing the urea. Let's understand how it was produced. The chemical formula of urea is CONH twice. Understood? This is the chemical formula. If you see the components here, carbon is present, oxygen is present, nitrogen is present, and even hydrogen is present. Right? If we see the availability of these compounds, nitrogen is present in atmosphere. We all know 78% of atmosphere is consisting of nitrogen. It can be available freely, but not the hydrogen. Right? Unlike the nitrogen, hydrogen is not available. So industries need to produce it. How the hydrogen is produced? The cheapest source and efficient source is through usage of methane, because this methane contains one carbon atom and four hydrogen atoms. For this reason, methane is used as excellent source of producing hydrogen. Then this methane is mixed with water at high temperatures, which results in carbon monoxide and the hydrogen molecules. Right? Then this carbon monoxide and hydrogen molecules, the resultant is transformed into water gas shift reaction. Now, what is this water gas shift reaction? Let's understand. This carbon monoxide is mixed with hydrogen, which results in carbon dioxide plus hydrogen. We needed carbon and hydrogen both. Understood? With this water gas shift reaction, we are getting both carbon dioxide and hydrogen, which are utilized in further processes. Let's understand the further process. Once the carbon dioxide and hydrogen molecules are produced, then they undergo Haber-Bosch process. What is this Haber-Bosch process? This process actually produces ammonia. Let's understand how. Where nitrogen compound is used with hydrogen compounds, which results in ammonia. This NH3 is called as ammonia. Understood? With the resultant, that is ammonia, urea is formed. Let's understand how. With the ammonia, carbon dioxide is mixed, which was the resultant of water gas shift reaction. Right? They mix ammonia with carbon dioxide, which produces urea. That is the process how urea is produced. I hope you understood it. Earlier, these urea plants, as we discussed, they utilized coal or naphtha fuel. We also seen what are the limitations of using this. First thing, the production costs are going to increase, and next thing, there are environmental degradations by utilizing these fuels. For this reason, government is pushing for natural gas-based urea plants. Now, what is benefit for India if it is pushing gas-based plants? The first thing, if the production costs are lower, what is the benefit for government? The subsidies are going to reduce. Understood? And next thing, not only reduction in subsidies, but also its goal of reaching net zero emissions by 2070 is going to be met with this initiative. This is the first major feature. Next feature is separation of fixed and variable costs. For example, if we established a urea fertilizer plant, there are two types of costs, such as fixed costs and variable costs. These fixed costs are those costs which are not going to change whether you produce 1 kg of urea today or 1 lakh ton of urea that day. These variable costs are going to change according to the production. Understood? The best examples of fixed costs are salaries, plant construction, land, loan repayment. All these are part of fixed costs. Getting, even if you produce 1 kg of urea that day, you must pay the same salary. Even if you produce 1 lakh tons of urea that day, you must pay the same salary. Right? Talking about land. If the land which you constructed the plant is rented, even if you produce 1 kg of urea that day, you must pay the same rent for that day. Even if you are producing 1 lakh ton, you must pay the same rent. These are called as fixed costs. These are not linked with production. But it is not the same with variable costs. If you are going to produce more, then the variable costs are going to increase. Getting, for example, raw materials. This is the best example of variable costs. Earlier, before introducing this NIPU 2026, the fixed costs and variable costs are combined together to give a final price. But with this, the fixed costs and variable costs are going to be calculated independently. Getting? Earlier, what used to happen, if there is increase in price of raw materials that is being imported from other countries, the total cost used to increase. The pricing mechanism used to be less transparent. So the prices of urea used to skyrocket. With this independent calculation of fixed costs and variable costs, pricing mechanism is now transparent. That is the another major feature of this National Investment Policy on Urea 2026. The third one is return on equity. For example, to simply state, earlier we discussed the investors were not ready. Why they were not ready? First thing, the returns is the most important thing. If you are investing on something, we seek some amount of returns from that. Not immediately, but after some time. Right? The same way, the investors who are investing, they seek returns. But if these returns are invariable, will investors be investing? No. Right? To reduce the risk, it has introduced return on equity. For example, if it costs 10,000 CR for investing in urea-based fertilizer plant in India, you got 4,000 CR from shareholders. This is equity. Okay, remaining 6,000 CR you got through loans. Now, how return of equity is calculated? It is net profit which you are gaining is divided by the shareholders or equity into 100. That value is called as return on equity. Earlier, this return on equity is different for different type of projects. But government, through this National Investment Policy on Urea 2026, it said minimum 12% of net profit must be given and maximum of 16% must be given to equity holders. With this, the investors will be ready for investing in urea-based plants. It's all about return on equity. Next important feature, managing foreign exchange risk. For example, if you are importing $100 million, you are importing natural gas from other countries. This natural gas is priced on dollars as you are purchasing on international market. Right? For example, you had purchased $100 million worth of natural gas for your company for the present year. Let's say it as 2020. Okay. At that point of time, in the year 2020, $1 was 85 rupees. Then what cost you are paying? You are paying 850 CR for the raw material which you are importing. After 2 years, in the year 2022, you are running your plant successfully and you had purchased the same $100 million worth of natural gas. Right? But at that point of time, in the year 2022, $1 was costing 95 rupees. It is, you are investing 950 CR now. Earlier, on the same amount of raw material which you are importing, you had spent 850 CR. But in the year 2022, on the same amount of raw material which you are importing, you are spending 100 crores more. Who is going to bear this risk? This is the major question for the investors. So government came up with a solution in this report. It said the investors are worried about this thing. The reason being the profits will be uncertain. Government came up with a solution saying after 4 years, the fixed costs are converted into Indian rupees. This is all about the major key features of the National Investment Policy on Urea 2026. Apart from these major features, let's understand urea. As we discussed, urea is utilized in agriculture and also industry. Right? Let's see what are the key differences between the urea that was utilized for agriculture and industry. The first thing, this agriculture urea is neem coated. After a few minutes, we will understand why urea is neem coated and it is utilized as fertilizer in the crops. Right? We discussed this urea is having 46% of nitrogen. For that reason, it is used as fertilizer. And next important reason, it is regulated under fertilizer control order. And next important point regarding agriculture urea, these are sold at controlled prices. And next important thing, this agriculture urea is sold in yellow colored bags. The main utilization or the main objective of using urea in agriculture is it supplies nitrogen to crops. Right? This agriculture urea is subsidized by government. These are the major features regarding urea usage in agriculture. Let's understand what are the features of industrial urea. It is used as industrial raw material. In what industries? In resin industries, in textile industries, in automobile industries, and also in adhesives. Adhesives means gums. Okay? And these are not neem coated. And next important thing, these are not subsidized. These are regulated by markets. And next important thing, these were sold in white bags. These are the key differences between agricultural urea and industrial urea. We saw a term called as neem coated urea. What is neem coated urea? This was mandated by government in the year 2015, where it stated 100% neem coated urea is mandatory for agriculture utilization purpose. The reason being, it slows down the nitrogen release. This is the first reason. And next important reason is, it improves nitrogen usage. If it penetrates slowly into the soil, the usage will be effective. Right? And also next major important reason is to prevent from diverting. If this normal urea, which was subsidized, which was sold at subsidized rate to the farmers, half of the urea is utilized for farms and the half urea was sold to industries. These farmers are gaining profits. Not only farmers directly, but also these industries are taking urea from those vendors for a subsidized rates. For that reason, this neem coated urea will not be utilized for textile industries, for making adhesives, or for making resins. For this reason, it mandated neem coated urea for agricultural purposes. We were discussing the usage of urea in the fields. We were saying it contains 47% of nitrogen and all. But high usage of urea is even risk. Not risk to the food which was being produced, but risk to the soil on which it is being produced. High usage of urea reduces the fertility of soil. For this reason, a balanced use of fertilizers is mandatory. What is balanced use of fertilizers? Both macronutrients and micronutrients must be used. What are macronutrients? Nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium. Apart from this, calcium, sulfur are the other major macronutrients. What are micronutrients? These are zinc, copper, iron, and manganese. These are the micronutrients. What it is suggesting, must be utilized balancedly on a farmland to prevent soil from degrading. Understood? But a serious question arises. Until before 2015, if I need to use urea on my farmland, let's say I'm having 1 acre of land, how much urea do I need to use? That was the biggest question. To provide solution for that, Soil Health Card Scheme was launched. What does this Soil Health Card Scheme do? Main objective of this scheme is to test the fertility of soil, and it also tests the pH value of soil. Also states nutrition deficiencies of the particular soil. All this will be given in a report. Based on this report, it tells how much urea must be added to the soil. Understood? This is the responsible use of urea. Apart from this, what is the major significance of launching this national investment policy for urea? First reason, to reduce the economic burden on government. Without self-reliance. Now, how self-reliance is achieved here? With this NIPU 2026. With this clear framework, there will be many investors who are going to invest in constructing the new urea plants. With that construction of new urea plants, at present, we are having only 66 operational urea plants in India. If this number increases, we will be able to produce more amount of urea. Then we don't need to depend on foreign countries. Right? For that reason, self-reliance is the major goal. And how economically it is significant? For example, if we are importing from other countries, all of a sudden, if the price of urea increases in the international market, then India must pay more to the international market, or India must face the subsidy burden more. Get it? That is how economically it is benefiting with this NIPU 2026. And next thing, climatic goal. Earlier, these 66 plants were using coal or other fuels for generating urea. These are not cleaner in nature, meaning they'll be emitting huge amount of emissions into the atmosphere. This is diverting the goal of 2070 to be on the track of net zero emissions 2070. These gas-based urea plants were put forward. And it is also strategically significant. The reason being, we'll be reducing less on international markets. If there are any geopolitical risks, we don't need to face problem of scarcity of urea, which in turn will affect the food security of nation. This is all about the National Investment Policy on Urea 2026. Hope you understood it well. Thank you.